In 2020, Nickelodeon released the SpongeBob musical on DVD. I really liked the musical after it aired on Nickelodeon in 2019. I bought the DVD on Amazon. A few days later, I received something in the mail. To my surprise, it was the DVD, but the front looked weird. I saw a red text that said "bad ending" in Comic Sans. Wait, a bad ending? Did I buy the wrong copy? I looked at the back of the DVD, and it still had the bad ending text at the top. I went upstairs and I put the disc in, then the Nickelodeon logo came up, but it looked different. The background was black, the text was red and in reverse, and it played the No Edlex jingle. Oh God, I said, this isn't going to be good. It then cut to the menu. The image of SpongeBob on the stage looked normal, but of course that red text in Comic Sans that said bad ending was there. I clicked play event, but before it started, there was a warning. Warning, the following musical you are about to watch contains graphic and violent scenes that should not be viewed by children. Viewer discretion is advised. Uh-oh, I said, I ain't gonna like this. It cut to Bikini Atoll. And it showed the Nickelodeon logo, and Mother of God, it looked so creepy. Bikini Atoll looked screwed up a lot. The tree branches looked destroyed, the sky was bloodshot red, and the Nickelodeon logo was also different. The text was red, and the text was in reverse. The camera pans below the water, where the Reef Cinema is showing a film called the SpongeBob musical. Ah, the theater. A magical place for all to enjoy, so long as we follow a few simple rules. The French narrator says, it then shows Squidward humming and walk to an open seat. The music in the background was Unseen Horrors by Kevin MacLeod. I start to shiver when I heard the music. Oh, hi, Squidward. SpongeBob says. Squidward starts to get angry. In case of emergency, always take a moment to locate your nearest exit. French narrator explains. It then shows Patrick slamming an exit door. Please do not disrupt the show for others. This means no gum chewing. French narrator explains. It then shows Patrick loudly chewing gum and blows a bubble at Squidward's face. No bouncing. French narrator says. Then it shows SpongeBob and Patrick bouncing up and down to piss off Squidward. No armrest hogging. French narrator says, Patrick hogs the armrest, intruding on Squidward's space. No jellyfishing. French narrator says, a jellyfish swims by. SpongeBob catches it and Squidward in his jellyfishing net. It zaps Squidward, and he screams. Whoops, sorry. SpongeBob says, no happening. French narrator yet again explains. It then shows Patrick slapping his knee and chest. No gargling. French narrator says. It then shows SpongeBob loudly gargling in front of Squidward. No play fighting. French narrator explains. It shows SpongeBob and Patrick play fighting each other. Sit down and stop ruining my night off, Squidward says, and of course, no talking. French narrator explains. Enjoyed the musical, Patrick. SpongeBob says. SHH. No talking, says Patrick. It then cuts to the SpongeBob musical, Live on Stage. Logo and that goddamn red text that reads bad ending in Comic Sans is also included. Act 1. Chapter 1. It now shows the three houses: Patrick, Squidward, SpongeBob's house. Ah. Bonjour, salute, and welcome to this quiet corner of the ocean floor, teeming with all the many kinds of undersea life. It is here we find the submarine habitat known as a broken bar. Ensemble members lift up platform showing Patrick's rock, Squidward's Easter Island house, and SpongeBob's pineapple, Bikini Bottom. Let us observe now as the sun rises on a new nautical day. Here, we see an ordinary cluster of kelp. Ensemble member points at kelp, and here broken bar. Ensemble member runs toward coral and points at it, a common clumping of coral. And here broken bar. Ensemble member runs toward SpongeBob's pineapple and points at it, a pineapple. This fruit is home to one of the most fascinating sea creatures of all. Aplycina fistula is a yellow sponge. The French narrator explains. Then SpongeBob's horn wakes him up. Good morning, world, and all who inhabit it. SpongeBob says. Now we get to the first song, which is Bikini Bottom Day. Reprise 1. The song plays out normally, until we get to Sandy's part. A violent tremor suddenly rocks the entire town. The rumbling noise actually caused an earthquake while I was watching. The song then continues normally, until we get to Plankton's part, where he holds a plankton blush, and holding a card that reads, "Too easy." Then it shows a video with the plankton plush holding the card. Plankton's laugh sounded a lot more demonic than the original. I then start to jump a bit when that happens. Then the song continues normally once again, until the rumbling scene happened again, where this time, the earthquake gets more aggressive than last time. "Oh my god!" I yelled. Then the song continues normally once again. A news report reveals that the tremor was caused by Mount Humongous, a nearby submarine volcano that will soon erupt. No control. Instead of saying, "The end is coming," they say, "The end is near." The song does play out normally. You're gonna hear me say that a lot, until we get to the end of No Control. The screams at the end of the song sounds a lot more realistic, more than cartoony. The clock had a text that reads, "The end." The text had a bludgeoned demonic version added on it. Everyone stops screaming except for Patrick. SpongeBob tries to stop Patrick from screaming. However, something way more different happens here. Patrick runs to avoid SpongeBob. Patrick screams even louder, while the audience starts to laugh in the background. I laugh alone with them. The screaming goes on for about a couple of seconds. Then SpongeBob slaps the absolute shit out of Patrick. Patrick does start to bleed a bit. I then gasp and cover my mouth in horror after seeing that. "You have to pull yourself together," SpongeBob says, takes cork out of Patrick's mouth and throws it away. "Breathe in and out." "Eyes here, eyes," SpongeBob says to Patrick. "But you don't understand. I'm stuck inside and I can't watch any of my shows, because there's nothing on TV but these a broken bar," Patrick explains. Then he turns the TV on with the remote control. "The end is near, the end is." SpongeBob then turns off the TV. "I get it, buddy. I get stressed out too sometimes. Like when Mr. Krabs says I'm not manager material." SpongeBob says, "Manager material? You mean like polyester?" Patrick says. Then the audience starts to laugh in the background. Then the next song plays, which is BFF. The song plays out completely normal. Will SpongeBob and Bikini Bottom survive? Can the power of BFF save the day? Find out when SpongeBob the Musical Live on Stage continues. French narrator says, "I then pause the DVD and go downstairs to get a snack. Then I go back upstairs. But as soon I was about to unpause the DVD, there was a red text that says, 'The end is near. Run for your lives.'" For a split second, wait, what was that? I said. Then I unpause the DVD and continue watching. Ladies and gentlefish, we only have until sundown tomorrow, but I will lead us through this crisis by setting meetings to encourage dialogue about drafting proposals for eventual action. The mayor explains, "So broken bar we're doomed." Squidward says, "I'm scared. We need someone to save us." The sardines said in horror. As the dialogue goes on, we get to the next song, which is, "The Going Gets Tough." The song does play normally, but something is off. The high and screechy voices in the song sound a lot distorted and louder. I then start to cover my ears after hearing that. After that, we then move on to another song called Just a Simple Sponge. The sponges in the background look different. The sponges in the background of the song were red. Huh? That's different, I said. Can the town be saved by a simple sponge? Find out right after the break. French narrator says, "Then I pause the DVD and go downstairs to get some water. I was getting thirsty after watching the musical for a couple of minutes. Then I unpaused the DVD and continue watching. Hey, Mr. Krabs, we're not going to have to leave Bikini Bottom after all. I'm putting together a team to save the town," SpongeBob explains. "Good luck with that." "We're packing," Mr. Krabs says. "I can't decide which one to wear for the electric skates." Pearl says, "For the last time, get it through your blowhole. You are not meeting those stingray degenerates," Mr. Krabs explains. "But Dada Broken Bar," Pearl says. you've got your priorities all wrong. We're in a crisis here, and when you're in a crisis, there's only one thing you can depend on, Mr. Krabs explained. You mean family? Pearl says. Number. Mr. Krabs says. Community? SpongeBob exclaimed. You're kidding, right? Mr. Krabs says. Now we move on to the song Daddy Knows Best. It does play out normally, until we get to this scene, where Mr. Krabs says, I'm sorry, Pearl. Were you trying to say something? Then we see Pearl crying in this scene. However, something was off. Instead of crying tears, Pearl was crying blood. I start to freak out a bit. The song continues normally. Breaking news. A giant boulder is rolling down from Mount Humongous, and it's headed this way. Perch Perkins exclaimed. Then everyone starts to scream, but it sounds realistic than the original. Don't worry, I've got it, SpongeBob says. No, it's gonna be SpongeBob's sentence was interrupted by Patrick. I'm right here, hello. Patrick says. While the dialogue goes on, we move on to the next song called Hero Is My Middle Name. The song plays normally. I was relived. After that, the next song that plays is Super Sea Star Savior. Like I said before, it plays normally. After that song, we get to another song called Tomorrow Isn't. Like I said like 100 times in this story, the song plays normally. Act 2 Chapter 2, then we hear Patchy the pirate impersonating an old lady. Programs. Get your programs. Help an old lady through college by buying a program. There you go, dearie, it's free for you. Programs. Can't tell the characters without a program. Ha ha. E-stage, and goes back to his ha ha. I made it in. Ha. Yes. Ha ha. They can't keep me out. I'm Patchy the pirate, SpongeBob's #1 fan. The audience starts to cheer in the background, you know, after they wouldn't let me in because I'm a pirate. I wandered the streets, until I happened upon a pirate dive bar, and it was there, talking to me fellow Buccaneers, that gave me the courage to come back here with a message, on behalf of all victims of pirate prejudice. In fact, I wrote a protest song. Ha ha. Patchy explains. Then we get to the song Poor Pirates. The song plays out normally. After the song, SpongeBob wakes up from a nightmare. Oh, Gary, I had a terrible nightmare, a broken bar. I dreamed the end was coming at sundown today, and Patrick abandoned me. Neither of which could ever actually happen, of course. Are you sure about that? I said, good morning, Bikini Bottom. Our top story, the end is coming at sundown today, and friends are abandoning friends. Perch Perkins explains. So it wasn't a dream, SpongeBob says. Then SpongeBob starts to scream. No. This goes on for a couple of seconds. 10 minutes later, a broken bar, French narrator says, with SpongeBob still going. He is now in a different position. 1 hour later, a broken bar, French narrator says, now with SpongeBob lying down on the ground. 50 years later, a broken bar, French narrator says, however, something way more different happens than the actual play. It shows SpongeBob with white hair, glasses, and a long white beard, making him look like an old man. Oh, this comes right off, SpongeBob says. He then throws the fake beard to the musical conductor. After all the dialogue, the next song that plays is Bikini Bottom Boogie. I'm sure you're going to think of what I'm going to say. Yes, it plays normally. Let us now journey to Mount Humongous, towering above Bikini Bottom in all its great and fearsome majesty, French narrator explains. After all that, we then move on to another song called I'm Not a Loser. The song does play out normally, until we get to the end, where Squidward is alone. Then very depressing music starts to play while Squidward walk off the stage, along with the audience laughing in the background. I laughed along with them. Meanwhile, high on the treacherous slope of Mount Humongous, SpongeBob and Sandy are the only hope for Bikini Bottom. Will they reach the top before Plankton and Karen can stop them? So tell us. It is a race against time, French narrator explains. It's a race against time, SpongeBob. Remember what I told ya? Don't stop till you drop, Sandy explains. Yeah, let's definitely not drop. SpongeBob says, we got this. Eyes on the prize. Sandy says, is it just me or is it getting kinda toasty up here? SpongeBob says, I'm sweating like a snowman in a steam room. We're almost at the top, come on, Sandy exclaimed. SpongeBob and Sandy continue their ascent and the camera pans over to the audience where Plankton and Karen are located, with their avalanche maker 3000. Let's do this. Big guy, ready a broken bar, aim a broken bar, fire. Plankton, Karen say, Sandy, do you hear that? SpongeBob says, it's an avalanche. Sandy says, SpongeBob and Sandy get trapped in an avalanche, and boulders roll down and around them. The avalanche stops, but SpongeBob loses balance and begins to slip. I'm slipping. SpongeBob says, I've got ya. Sandy says, I think this is goodbye. Sandy, a broken bar, these are my last words. A broken bar. SpongeBob says, no, SpongeBob, please. Sandy says, look over there. SpongeBob exclaimed, those are your last words. Sandy says, no, it's Patrick, and he has your jetpack. SpongeBob says, I'll save you. Patrick says in slow-mo, but something way more different happens here. The slow-mo scene goes on for a minute straight. Wait, what's happening? I said. A couple of scenes later, we get to best day ever. It does go on normally, until we get to the countdown. 5, 4, 3, to broken bar. There was no one. It does go silent for a couple of seconds. It didn't erupt, a question mark. Plankton says, well, I guess there is no bad ending after all. I said, little did I know that I was wrong. The volcano actually erupts. What the hell? This is not supposed to happen. I said in horror. Every character starts screaming in horror. The lava starts to burn all of the characters to death. The audience starts to scream in the background in horror. Then all of the characters died after the eruption. It shows their skulls. The audience screams even more and leaves the room. After they died, the credits rolled. The music that was playing in the background was At Rest by Kevin MacLeod. I had to sit and think about what I have just watched. No wonder why it's called Bad Ending. Such a disturbing musical. Just then, Patchy the pirate out of nowhere runs up on the stage. No, SpongeBob, WHYDID, I have to lose you. My biggest fan was involved in the eruption. Goodbye, SpongeBob. Patchy then starts crying and leaves the room. I also start to cry by looking at their skulls. After credits, the Nickelodeon Productions 2019 logo plays. The background was black, and the text was reddened in reverse, and it was playing the No Edelection jingle. I went to get the remote, but before I could, a jump scare happened. It was an edited picture of SpongeBob from the episode Wormy, where he sees that Mr. Krabs and Squidward got eaten by Wormy. Holy crap, I yelled, and there were a lot of loud noises in the background. The Howie scream, the scream from Suicide Mouse. Of it, Sunny Funny, Katy Cat, Paula Fox's scream from the the Rapper anime episode, Did You Say You Didn't Sleep?, where they get sucked up inside of PJ Berry's nose, along with the roar from the BND of Doom, the Void scream that is in every Lost episode, the Sonic.X scream, the FNAF 1 2 3 4 jump scare sound effects, the Kafie scream, the Scary Maze scream, the scream from the video called Ghost caught on tape by SZ World, the Slendy Bob jump scare sound effect, the deranged woman scream. I had to cover my ears after hearing these sounds. After a couple of seconds, the jump scare ended. It then cut back to the menu. I was traumatized after what I saw. I then took the disc out, went outside, and burned the DVD to shreds and threw it away. I did have a few screenshots saved on my hard drive. That night I couldn't sleep. I had nightmares of the scene where all of the characters died in that eruption. I never watched any more SpongeBob related musicals after that. The end.